And we can start with this one, the passenger pigeon. Now, if you're reading in the middle of the 19th century about anything about nature, and lots of people talk about passenger pigeons. Darwin writes about them, Wallace writes about them. The thing that's important about passenger pigeons in the 19th century, they are by far the commonest bird in the world. And today, they are one of the extinctest birds in the world. There are no living passenger pigeons, although people are making arguments, do we have enough of their DNA kicking around in dried up specimens that we might be able to get one, get some made up again. Maybe, maybe not. I think this is going to be it's going to probably be harder to do this one than to do mammoths, because mammoths, we have a lot of DNA, and Indian elephants are really close to mammoths. But this one, incredibly, incredibly large flocks of passenger pigeons. Like it was said that they would blot out the sun when they would fly over you. And you hope you have an umbrella at the same time too. What were passenger pigeons doing that they could have so many huge, such huge flocks of passenger pigeons? What do passenger pigeons eat? Well, they are strong flyers. They are flying all over the place.
Eating insects.
No.
Other birds.
No, it would be very difficult to have a flock of 1 billion birds that are going out. Okay, I see a sparrow. Let's go, guys! And then the 1 billion birds dive down on the sparrow. Or even an ostrich at that point. You're not going to get very far with that. No, their specialty was acorns, and acorns do something called mast, which is spelled M-A-S-T for those of you taking down notes, which you shouldn't be doing because this won't be on the test probably. Okay, so mast fruiting is when oak trees decide and tell each other, and they've not let us in on their code, we're all going to make a vast number of acorns just this season. And so I've been here long enough in my 120 years at Mount Holyoke. Well, in the last 35 years at Mount Holyoke, there have been about 3 or 4 years where you walk around Upper Lake and it feels like you're out in World War I, and they're shooting machine guns at you from all directions because there's so many acorns falling all over the place. And then you walk around in a normal year around Upper Lake and ping, 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 ping. You hear the acorns falling, but it's not hundreds of acorns falling every 10 seconds. So the mast fruiting does what? Why would the oak trees be into mast fruiting? Does anybody eat acorns?
Squirrels.
Squirrels, chipmunks, deer mice, deer, all the things that carry Lyme disease. Deer mice and deer. So a big year for acorns, that's going to be followed by a big year for deer mice and a big year for Lyme disease. So it really gets under your skin in some way or other. But the and lots of weevils are also putting drilling holes and putting their eggs into green acorns as well. All these things are eating up basically almost all the acorns that are produced every year. Very few of them get to germinate. But in a year that no predator of acorns can predict, there are vast numbers of extra acorns. There aren't enough weevils or deer mice or deer or chipmunks to do much damage to them. That's the year the acorns will be able to germinate, because there's so many extras. Okay, and they know, all the oak trees get the message that we're going to do it together that same year, but nobody else has gotten in on the message, and so nobody knows, this is the year I should have 20 extra babies, because we're going to get to September and there's a vast amount of food for getting us through the winter. So a lot of the acorns just survive. The trick of the passenger pigeons was, we are willing to fly anywhere in North America, and it's all oak forest everywhere, to find the forest that is doing mast fruiting, and then I will settle down with 40 million of my closest friends, and we're going to eat all the acorns. And so we're going to start in Missouri, and then if the next one is in Wisconsin, we'll fly to Wisconsin, and then, okay, guys, everybody up to Manitoba. And you follow the season, you follow the acorns, and everybody gets lost to acorns because you're willing to go where the mast fruiting is. You're strong flyers, and you'll find, and if you have that many of you out flying, you're going to find the forests which are doing that. So where have we seen a story like that in this class? Periodical cicadas, the 17-year cicadas, mass numbers of them. The predators can't do anything with them. There's so many of them, and so they have the trees and the forest to themselves. And then, 17 years later, there's nobody around who remembers, oh, I remember. No grandparent is telling the kids about the year of the magic cicadas, magic cicada actually, who came out and provided vast amounts of food for 3 weeks. You just can't remember that because nobody lasts more than, nobody in the forest around here lasts more than a couple of years. So that was their trick, and then we came along and cut down all the oak trees and put in corn and wheat, and so the passenger pigeons who have 1 egg per mating, every time they mate, and will only feel comfortable mating if surrounded by several thousand of their closest friends doing the same thing. So you put 14 of them in a single cage in the Cincinnati Zoo. They look at each other and say, okay, we all take vows of chastity, and then they die one after another. And that was the end of them in the early 20th century. Okay, this bird here is a moa, and it comes from New Zealand.